What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. How is everyone doing out there today? Smiles on all our faces. 11 days to go till the end of the transfer window. 2 days to go till the start of the Premier League campaign. And, you know, we're all getting a bit antsy a few days ago, in the last week, in the last month.
24 hours ago.
But now things seem to be looking up, people. They really do seem to be looking up. Imminent signings, quality signings, and Spurs are going to be a force to be reckoned with next season. So I want to know from you guys out there, how are you all feeling today, people?
Yeah, I feel like ever since the news broke yesterday, it's just been like a collective big sigh of relief that actually we might be getting these attacking signings in. We might be getting them over the line. Things are moving in the right direction, because there was... I think people were even contemplating at one point, are we just not going to sign any attackers? Is that it? We're just going to go forward in the season with what we've got, saved from last season, and what a disaster. Same old Enoch, same stuff. Obviously, we have to get these signings over the line, but the fact that they're advanced talks, we'll obviously get into it in the update, I think there's been a collective calmness that's come over the Spurs fan base in the last 24 hours.
I'll tell you what, in the last month... The WhatsApp group has been going absolutely mad. People up till 3, 4 in the morning, going at each other. It's been mad. It's been mad, the group chat over the last month. But ever since that news broke, everyone, I mean, not much has even been said on the group.
It's been quiet. It's been quiet. It's been a bit of zen. Everyone can just take in the news that actually we could be getting not just attacking signings, but good players as well through the door, players that we all want to come in. And I think everyone is like, everyone's kind of been at each other's throats for some reason over the last month. But I think hopefully that's coming to an end. Obviously, you're not privy to this because it's a private WhatsApp group. But yeah, everyone I think has been collective madness over this last month or 6 weeks even.
Yeah, so basically who's in the WhatsApp group is basically anyone that's ever contributed to a watch along, basically, all the guests that you're accustomed to seeing. It's been all good fun and games, let's put it that way. But we've got a lot to get through today. Before we do, obviously head over to OK Jersey, people. 10% off all the kits that you would want. The third jersey going on there very, very soon. Home and aways on there, goalkeepers on there, and top quality stuff, people. We wear them and they are fantastic, to be honest. You get 10% off with the code SPURS, and do remember to order a size up when you do so. So okjersey.com, link is in the comments section right now, people. So go and get yours today. But look, let's just get it cracking, people, because everyone wants to know what is going on. Are we bringing in these players or not? And let's talk about Savinho and Marmoush, because Fabrizio Romano said very early this morning that Tottenham are trying to accelerate a double deal involving Marmoush and Savinho. The plan for Spurs remains 2 wingers, Gakpo and Savinho, plus a striker. Plus a striker deal on. Pedro Neto is the backup option if Savio doesn't join. Santi Auna says to anticipate the likely departure of Savinho to Tottenham, it's understood that Man City have moved for a Brazilian forward called Alan Elias from Palmeiras. So that's an interesting development. It looks as though they're getting their ducks in order. Himothy says that he understands that Marmoush had spoken to Roberto De Zerbi and is eager to join to be used as the 9. Fee likely to reach 150 million, including bonuses. They want a double deal agreed, as they feel it's a better bargaining chip when it comes to negotiation with City. The deal is very advanced. Spurs Journo says a deal for Savinho to Tottenham is fully agreed. Spurs and City are settling their differences in valuation over Omar Marmoush. There is a sizable gap between the clubs still, but both parties are optimistic of a solution. And reports in Brazil from Cahe Mote GE Globo says Man City and Tottenham have agreed a deal for Savinho worth 93.3 million euros up front, plus a 5.7 million euros in bonuses. The expectation is the player will soon be cleared for a medical, and adding a deal of Omar Marmoush, the total expected fee is going to be 151 million euros, not pounds.
Which obviously is still a significant fee. What was it, 130 million probably pounds?
Around about that, yeah.
Obviously, that deal that they're talking about for Savinho, they've gone into quite specific detail there. So I think coming from Brazilian sources, a lot of the time they can be ahead of the game when it comes to Brazilian players. That is obviously around £80 million plus about 5 million in add-ons, so about £85 million for Savinho, which obviously we've been talking about, which is a crazy kind of fee for him. But maybe it's more palatable if you're getting Marmoush in another deal for maybe a bit cheaper than that. Obviously, they're getting wages off the books, and maybe they're willing to compromise a bit on Marmoush's transfer fee if we can get both of them over the line and they take both of them off their hands.
I think when you're looking at a combined deal of 130 million euros, you know, we were speaking pounds, sorry. When I was speaking last night, that's what I said to you. I think the kind of value is of the player between that 120 to 130 million euros, pounds. Obviously, when we heard 150 million pounds, I thought, yeah, it's a bit of an overpayment. 20 million probably over the two, but I think 130 million pounds is a decent deal, to be honest, for two quality players, in my opinion. Obviously, Marmoush comes in more ready-made and can spearhead that attack in the number 9. Savinho comes in not as a guaranteed starter, but a player that's going to see a lot of minutes, but a player that definitely adds to the quality of the squad. And this is assuming we bring in Gakpo, by the way. If we don't bring in Gakpo, then obviously Savinho is probably an out-and-out starter. But yeah, I mean, it is when you're looking at the fee just for Savinho, 93.3 million plus 5.7 million in add-ons, euros that is. I mean, that is a hefty fee for someone that's not a guaranteed starter, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's not maybe a guaranteed starter, but he obviously adds quality, he adds depth to the wide areas, and I think he is going to start a lot of games, to be honest. So I think when you have Kudus, if you do sign Gakpo, obviously we have Matisse Tel there, then you add Savinho to the mix. I think you've got a really good balance of different variety of attackers, different ways to go at oppositions. It really gives De Zerbi the tools to kind of chop and change and choose what players suit which games. So I think it's worth, just for that, it's worth the money. Plus, I think Savinho, look, I know a lot of people, we've spoken a lot about it, a lot of people are not sure about the fee, they're not sure about how good he is, they're not sure about his time at City, but I'm telling you, when he puts that Spurs shirt on and when he gets on the pitch, people are going to be excited about him. People are going to see the value that he brings. Even if he's not scoring and assisting every game, he brings threat, he brings just focus. Teams can't ignore him because he's an absolute demon when it comes to his dribbling and his one-on-one. You can't just leave him alone. You have to make accommodations for him. And those players, they're not easy to come by. And I think that kind of value as well, it's undervalued by a lot of our fan base, and I think he's going to be such a valuable member to our attack. That's what I think.
You're looking at the way Tel has been performing so far. You're looking at the prospect of bringing in Savinho, Marmoush, Gakpo. You're looking at the prospect of reintegrating Mohamed Kudus. I mean, we are going to be a problem next season. We are really going to be a problem next season, and that is also adding to the fact of James Maddison coming back. Conor Gallagher pressing from the front. I know, everyone has their issues, or people have their issues with Conor Gallagher, but still, his pressing is still going to be a problem next season for oppositions. You're looking at the prospect of, after January, reintegrating Javi Simmons to this side. You know what I mean?
You didn't mention Decky.
Who knows? As well, Who knows? You know what I mean? He could be integrated at some point. So you're going from a team that looked like they had pretty much no attacking prowess to all these options.
We'll put it this way, the last game of the season, Spence was playing right wing.
Yeah.
So that's where we were back at. And to be fair, even in 2 days' time, it could very well be like Mikey Moore starting. But if we do get these options over the line, when Kudus comes back fit, we are going to have depth and quality in attack, something that we've been asking for and needed for a very, very long time. Even, Solanke, could he get back to his best? Could he be the striker that hopefully we signed from Bournemouth and even the one that first joined in Ange's first season? If we can get, the player that we thought we were getting when we spent 65 million, all of a sudden we have another source of goals there. So I think De Zerbi will be delighted with the options. Now, the question is, if we get all these options in, how does it stack up as a collective against teams that we're looking to challenge Champions League with? Because I still think, even with all those players over the line, you have to say, what's our best three? Probably Marmoush up front, Gakpo on the left,
Kudus, yeah.
and Kudus on the right. Does that stack up against Liverpool, United, Chelsea, City and Arsenal?
Well, if we go one by one, Liverpool, let's say for argument's sake they sign Barcola. Barcola, Alexander Isak, who they're going to have on the right. Mbai, maybe.
Maybe Mbai. At the moment, it's Rio, I think. But
I think Isak obviously is better than what we got. Barcola is better than what we got.
I guess put the number 10 in there as well. But I guess at the moment we're playing Gallagher or Maddison.
Well, we'll say Maddison. I think Florian Wirtz obviously is an unbelievable football player. Didn't have the greatest of seasons last year, but I wouldn't doubt that he has a great season this year under Andoni Iraola. So I think Liverpool are probably significantly better than us.
You take Isaac, Wirtz and Barcola.
Yeah, I think Liverpool is significantly better than us. Manchester United, Brian Mbeumo,
Cunha
and Sesko,
and then,
with Bruno Fernandes, they're better than us. You're looking at Arsenal. Who do they have? Gyökeres or Havertz, Saka, and Solis,
and
with Odegaard in the 10. I think that's a bit more closer than the other two. I do think that's a bit more closer. I think. Would you rather Marmoush than Gyökeres or Havertz?
I think, in a weird way, I think Marmoush is a better footballer, but I think in terms of what the Arteta wants from them. Look, I prefer Marmoush personally, just as a footballer. I think he's got more ability. I think he's a better finisher. Well, he's definitely a better finisher than Havertz. But obviously, what Havertz and Gyökeres have over him is they're just physical threats, and they get themselves more chances.
That's fine, but you're not comparing Marmoush what he would be in an Arsenal system. You're comparing Marmoush what he'll be in a Tottenham system.
Correct.
And how good will Marmoush be better for Spurs, or will Gyökeres be better than for Arsenal?
I mean, you asked me this a year ago. I think probably Gyökeres, but from what I've seen of him, I think I prefer Marmoush. I think he's a better player, but I don't think Marmoush would start for Arsenal. Put it that way.
I think obviously Saka gets in our team.
Yeah.
And I would say right here, right now, Gakpo is ahead of Solis. And I mean, for the past couple of years, we've all been saying Maddison's better than Odegaard. Odegaard obviously had a great World Cup and started the Community Shield well, but he's had a poor few seasons for Arsenal.
I know, but Maddison's come back from an ACL.
Yeah.
So that probably puts him behind Odegaard.
Anyway, Arsenal are better, but I don't think it's as significant as the other two. Man City, no point even going through the players.
Semenyo, Doku,
Man
Haaland,
City are much better.
4 for 4 there.
And Chelsea, you got João Pedro up front, and they're probably
Rodgers will play.
They're going to be playing a different system to everyone else, probably.
But still, you got Pedro, Rodgers, Palmer, all probably getting.
And they're better as well, in my opinion. So as it stacks up against the top 6, it's not as good, and probably 6th out of the top 6. But the way you got to look at it from a Tottenham perspective is how much we've improved. You know, we've improved a significant amount. And it's not just about the quality of the player, it's about how they're utilised in the system, what's backing them up behind them in terms of the midfield, the defence, the fullbacks. And I think, you know, compared to some of those teams, we might have a better midfield, we might have a better defence, we might have better fullbacks compared to some of them.
And also, let's say, for example, Liverpool, they've got a better first attack, but maybe we have more depth, potentially. Same with maybe Man United. I guess they got Rashford coming in, but other than that, Rashford, Ahmad, okay, they got pretty good depth as well. But, you know, City at the moment don't have much depth. Chelsea, who's coming in? Welbeck? Like, who's coming in for their front three?
I wouldn't say Arsenal have much depth in the forward line either.
Arsenal, like Madueke, Martinelli, you know, Eze. I mean, they've still got pretty decent depth. But, like, you know, we have pretty... depending on who comes back, who's fully fit, our depth all of a sudden looks, you know, pretty decent at that point. So, yeah, I think the collective of attackers right now, on paper, probably is not as good as, even with spending all this money, isn't as good as the top 5. But you've also got to take into account, we've got a new manager. Could these set of attackers look a hell of a lot better under this manager than they have been? Could they find a different level to what they have? You know, could Marmoush be profiled more correctly? Could he get the best out of Savinho? Are we going to see a lot more from Kudus? With Gakpo, you know, could he start seeing the best out of him? And if he does that, then I think all of a sudden we might start to see these attackers in a different light.
Yeah.
But the big question is, obviously, the gap between our attacking lineup last season to this season, and the gap is closed to the top 5, and that is the key thing here. So I know it's a lot of people will be looking at it on paper saying you spend all this money, you're still not better than your rivals in the front line, but I think rightly Tottenham are still excited about what they're bringing in.
I think from last season to this season, in terms of attacking lineup for Spurs, it's not even night and day away, because night and day is too close to each other. It's more like universes and satellites away. You know what I mean? It's crazy, the difference in quality that we're going to go in with this season compared to last season. With Roberto De Zerbi at the helm, I'm confident that Spurs are going to be a force to be reckoned with this season, and especially you're looking at the regeneration of the midfield with Tonali and Mateus Fernandes. You're looking at a backline where I think Mickey van der Ven and Jan-Paul van Hecker are going to strike up such a great relationship. You've got Pedro Porro and either Destiny Udogie or Andy Robertson on the left-hand side. And Andy Robertson, whatever I've been saying about him or anyone's been saying about him, he's going to contribute to that attack.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully Porro starts getting more goal contributions like he was like before Frank. I think I think not only will the front line get more goals themselves, I think they're going to help facilitate more goals around the team. And I think that's just as important. Because you look at like even when Ange first came and we sold Harry Kane, but we scored more goals the season after, even though we let go of our best player, right? That's because we shared the goals more around the team. It wasn't just so reliant on Harry Kane.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be the same principle here. Like
Yeah.
we're going to be we're not going to. Last season under Frank obviously was a disaster, but we're going to be sharing the goals a lot more around the front line. Plus, we're bringing in guys like Gakpo and Marmoush who have proven they can score goals in this league.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's exciting times. It really is exciting times at Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, look, the reality is you can't go from 17th 2 years in a row and just all of a sudden think you're better than everyone in the top six. You know what I mean? It's a process and a building block. And I think from what we had to go through the last 2 years, particularly last season, this is a fantastic rebuild because we've literally rebuilt the whole team.
Yeah,
that's
literally
what we've done this summer.
Yeah, new defence, new midfield, new attack.
Yeah.
And obviously we have to get these over the line. It's not done yet, but if we get them over the line, it's pretty much a completely new team.
Yeah.
Well, unrecognisable. I mean, I just saw a graphic of the lineup that we put out on the last day of the season against Everton, and it's just a literally new team.
Yeah, it is. And everyone says this all needs to be ripped apart and rebuilt again, and that's what Roberto De Zerbi, Rafi Mawson, and Vinar Johan have done.
So I've seen quite a few people saying, "Is this Tottenham's version of when Arsenal got Zinchenko and Jesus?" Is that a positive or a negative?
Well, obviously it helped Arsenal getting Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus. That was the very start or the beginning of them starting to be properly relevant again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are comparisons to be made because I think this is the start of Spurs starting to be relevant again.
And also we're signing two players who are our favourite City and they're willing to sell, maybe squad players. But what was key for Arsenal was, yes, they were squad players for City, but they did the job that Arsenal needed them to do. And I know Arsenal didn't win the league, but obviously we all know what happened that year. They were 8 points clear with 5 games to go and whatever, they fell apart at the end. But that got them in a position where they nearly won the league. Mm-hmm. I know they were starting from a higher position. They finished 5th the season before. But the point being is, even though these players weren't good enough for City, they were good enough to almost win Arsenal the league that season. So even though these players right now, don't necessarily get into our rivals team, doesn't mean they don't significantly improve us. Yeah. That's the key thing.
100%. So hopefully we get an even bigger bomber later on today or at some point, even during the stream, because Ali Gold is suggesting that we're trying to get these deals done in time for them to play against Brentford. And to play against Brentford, they need to be registered by midday tomorrow. So we really are working behind the clock here. The clock is working against us. I find it highly fanciful to think that any of these players will be in by the time we play Brentford. But let's see. Because not only do they have to sign, they have to get the work permits as well. It's just not going to happen.
There's a rumour of a flight, a private jet coming from Manchester to London City Airport arriving, or apparently arrived today at 1:10. So who knows who's on that flight? Who knows what's going on there? But that's on the rumour mill on social media. We love our little theories and things that people haven't noticed, and that's what people are talking about. Apparently there's a private jet, and sometimes they're carrying footballers.
Sometimes they are, but I
sometimes.
maybe Savinho, but the Marmoush thing we haven't heard from anyone reliable that, these deals are done, just advanced talks.
Correct.
So would they be on a plane right now? It seems a bit early.
Well, maybe it hasn't hit the media yet that the deal's been struck.
Maybe. In terms of Cody Gakpo, Himothy is saying that Spurs are going to be waiting for Liverpool to sign Barcola and or Mbaye to materialise, for a move to materialise for Cody Gakpo. So Spurs obviously focusing on these two. Hopefully, in the meantime, Liverpool get their targets in, and then Spurs will strike.
Yeah, that's been the news for the last however long now with Cody Gakpo. But I've seen a few suggestions that signing Marmoush, does it lessen the need for a Gakpo? Does it, because they're quite similar. They operate in similar areas. They got similar kind of qualities. Do you go a bit? Do you want Gakpo any less? The fact that Marmoush is coming?
Not at all. They both play in the same team together for me. I think, yes, Marmoush can play on the left, and yes, Cody Gakpo can play up front. But Gakpo is better on the left, and Marmoush is better up front. So I want them to play in the same team. Yeah,
me too. And I think it's just more goals, isn't it? It's just more threat, more attacking quality. So I think, I completely agree. I don't think they get in each other's way, personally. I do think, like Marmoush, he does like to operate in a similar way to like Vinny Jr. and Mbappe kind of operate in similar areas. I do kind of, even though they're different positions, I do kind of feel like there's something similar there with Gakpo and Marmoush, where they both like that little area from the left-hand side of the box, cutting inside. They like to do that kind of thing. But if we can maybe get Marmoush closer to goal and just make sure we're not separate, that we're separating them, then I think that could be positive.
Yeah, and David Ornstein's just dropped less than a minute ago that Man City are working on this Alan Elias guy from Palmeiras. So finally, we're hearing about Man City replacements for Savinho.
Palmeiras aiming to keep the Brazilian. He's got a €100 million clause.
Are they going to drop 100 million?
Surely not. But it's crazy as well. I mean, back to the conversation about the price. Like, everyone's saying crazy overpay, what money? But like, Man City are apparently about to drop 100 million on Boadi.
Yeah.
So what is the market? That's surely a crazy overpay. Hasn't he had one good year?
Yeah.
And he's 18.
Yeah.
And yet apparently he's 100 million. Konsa, 29-year-old centre back with 1 year left on his deal, or 2 years, whatever. He's worth 50 million. Like, it seems like teams are just prepared to pay the money to get their players in.
Yeah, I know. And then you've got Jed Spence going for 30 million euros. So
yeah,
it's hard to know where to sit in the market. It's just all a mess this summer. But I think £130 million, if that is the deal, then I think it's a fantastic deal for Tottenham, in my opinion. In terms of Pape Matar Sarr, there are some reports coming out of Africa, from Africa Foot, saying that Tottenham midfielder Pape Matar Sarr has his heart set on joining Galatasaray, and the move is understood to be at an advanced stage. So no kind of reliable people reporting this, just this publication. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is not true. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's true.
Yeah, me too. I think him going to Turkey makes a lot of sense. They've clearly got... There's money there. I think he would fit in Turkey as well. They got Champions League football. I think it would be a decent move for him. I mean, I heard a report yesterday suggesting we're asking for 50 million for him. I can't believe that to be true.
Absolute rubbish.
Surely not 50 million for Pape Matar Sarr. That's obviously an extortionate fee. But yeah, I think we'll
be demanding more for Pape Matar Sarr than we did for Romero and Spence.
Yeah, apparently. Make it make sense. But hopefully, I think he needs to leave because of squad numbers, and obviously he just doesn't really have a place for next season. So let's see how he advances. I think he will leave by the end of the window, whether it be on loan or whether we get a permanent deal. He won't be part of the squad.
Yeah, exactly. So that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories that we have spoken about today. A couple of super chats, one from Alex COYG says, good luck this season. It looks like the derby will be the best game of the season again, I think he's saying. But
I hope so.
I'm not going to say good luck to you, mate, but thank you for the super chat.
I hope the derbies become competitive again because they've just been embarrassing.
De Zerbi won't let them not be competitive. Southeast Coys member for 18 months says, I hated how Villa and Newcastle took our spot in the Big Six for a few seasons. I have no sympathy for their current situation. I want a Magpie relegation. Well, they all wanted us relegated last season.
Look, I've got no ill will towards them. Fair play to them. They were good. They ran their clubs well. And they took advantage of us completely shitting the bed and falling down the table. And bam, they've been in Europe and doing really well. But the difference between them and us is, you know, when we were in Europe and we were in Champions League, we were there for a long decade, over a decade. We couldn't even say decades nearly at that point. Nearly 2 decades, we were pretty much in Europe consistently. They did it for like 2 or 3 years, and all of a sudden they're thinking, oh, we're this amazing team, you know, this is it, we're in that conversation, and it's not easy to keep it up, and I think they're finding that now. Keep it up for 10 years, they're finding it's very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to bring up a topic about the state of the squad if we do sign these 3 players. So, judged by the Premier League rules, you're only allowed 17 foreign players. We currently have 21 now in our squad. So if you look at this graphic here, you'll see the makeup of the squad, and you see 21 players there that are foreign, which means it has to be stripped down by 4 players to be registered in time for the Premier League campaign. And so what that takes into account is foreign players. Under 21 players don't need to be registered, and it needs to be a maximum of 25, not taking into account under 21 players. So as you can see here, the makeup of the squad, you've got Kinski and Dubravka in goal, Porro, Gray, right back, Van Hecker, Danso, Kota Takai, centre back, Van der Ven, Senesi and Davis at left centre back, Robertson, Adogi, Souza, Fernandez, Bergvall, Sarr, Tonali, Bentancur in the midfield, Maddison, Gallagher, Javi, Deki in the 10, Kudus, Savinho, Gakpo, Tel, Odegaard in the wings, Marmoush, Solanke and Richarlison up top. So that number of 21 that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen needs to be cut down to 17. There obviously are a few players on there that Spurs are looking to get out the door, Pape Matar Sarr being one of them. So I guess you can talk about Pape Matar Sarr being one of the first names out the door. What's interesting about this is that the debate that a lot of Spurs fans have been having over the past few weeks about Solanke and Richarlison. So judging by this, it's actually not even a debate anymore. I've always been saying that I want Solanke to go and Richarlison to stay, but actually, Richarlison has to go now.
So the squad options force our hand, kind of, because if Solanke goes, all of a sudden, well, you need to replace him with an English player potentially, and that becomes very difficult.
21 player, yeah.
And Troy Parrott's just gone to Real Betis, so he's off the table.
Yeah.
So I think it makes for me, I think it makes sense to keep hold of Solanke anyway, just because if I think him and Marmoush would strike up a better partnership together potentially, and I think they offer something quite different. Whereas Richarlison, he's obviously more of a goal scorer, he's a fox in the box, but I think his overall play hampers us just a little bit too much. And I know he's done us well, he helped save us from relegation, and I love Rishi, and he's full of passion, but I think if we can get the best out of Solanke, I think we're better off having him in the squad anyway. But obviously this issue does force our hand a bit. There's talks of Everton coming in for him. Let's see if anything materialises there, but it looks like he's going to have to be out the door. And I think once we put it, if once this signing happens, if it happens, and we put it to Rishi saying, look, our hands are tied here, you're going to have to go, otherwise you're going to be out the squad. I think at that point he starts to, try find a move.
Yeah. So that obviously leaves us Sarr and Richarlison, which we need to find 2 more players out the squad. And I guess an obvious one here is Kota Takai.
Yeah. He'll be gone.
You got Davis, you got Senesi, you got Danso. The thing that's actually working for Danso is that he is counted as homegrown because he spent time in his English academy. Andy Robertson actually isn't counted as homegrown. And obviously Martin Dubravka makes me think, why did we actually sign Dubravka? Bit of a silly signing when we could have signed just an English keeper to take that spot. We should have found an English keeper.
Well, there was links to Jason Steele, wasn't there? who's obviously worked with De Zerbi before. So that probably would have been an obvious one if we could have got that over the line. And maybe that helps ease the burden on this homegrown problem.
So if we can cross out Sarr, Richarlison and Kota Takai, that's 3. So now we need to find one more player that's not going to be registered for next season, or we need to sell. And obviously what comes to mind is the players that have long-term injuries. Kulusevski, back in somewhat training, but we don't know when he's going to be back. Javi Simmons, definitely not going to play in this calendar year. And Wilson Odegaard, probably at best late December, January, around about that time. So I guess you're looking at one of those players, because I don't think you can sell Bentancur with the midfield options. Bergvall doesn't count because he's under 21. Who else is there?
Yeah,
there's no one else that can go.
Everyone else is pretty indispensable, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you have to make a tough decision. Obviously, I think with Xavi, for now, it's not that much of a tough decision. He knows he's not going to play. We're not going to expect him to play before the new year. So I think he has to be. It makes sense for him to be left out. You spoke about Odegaard. That's obviously an option, but he's set to probably be back around November time. Well, back in training anyway, hopefully, and be an option. So it makes more sense at the moment to leave out Xavi than Odegaard. The funny thing is, maybe in January, you might think about selling Odegaard to make way for Xavi, depending on what kind of state Odegaard is in. But Odegaard coming into the squad, being in a squad with Gakpo, Tel, Kudus and Savinho, he's going to find it very difficult to get minutes. Not just to get minutes when... It's a bit like Dragoshin. Coming back from the ACL, you need those minutes to get back up to speed. And Dragoshin just never really got them, or was never able to. So he was never really able to get back up to speed. And then when he did play, he was so rusty and he looked awful because he was recovering from this injury and never was able to get the minutes to come back. So Odegaard might suffer from that, and he might need maybe it's just a loan in January, maybe to play somewhere for 6 months, or even selling. I think that's probably what we do. We probably just leave Xavi out till Jan, keep Odegaard in, see what happens in November, and then in January you probably loan him out.
So I mean, for argument's sake, I think you're right. That's probably what they'll do is take Xavi out and leave Odegaard there. But I don't think Odegaard will see many minutes. But for argument's sake, we'll take Odegaard out, because by the end of the season it will be Odegaard out and Javi Simmons will be reintegrated back in the squad. So we can put a cross by Wilson Odegaard's name, and then that is kind of what you're left with if we bring on.
So it also means if we want to sign a foreign right back, then someone else has to make way.
100%. 1 in, 1 out after this.
Unless they're English.
Unless they're English or under 21.
Yeah.
So this is kind of what you're left with now, with 17 foreign players. The foreign players are Kinski, Dubravka, Robertson, Porro, Udogie, Van der Ven, Senesi, Van Heck, Fernandez, Tonali, Bentancur, Kulusevski, Kudus, Xavi, Gakpo, Savinho and Marmoush. It brings an interesting conversation about the midfield, though, because Bergvall is obviously under 21, so he doesn't need to be registered. Looking at this, do you not think that we actually need to keep Bergvall now instead of sell him? Because if we sell Bergvall, obviously Archer Gray then is covering 2 positions. Mm-hmm. Is that enough?
Not ideally. I mean, I think it's probably a situation it might be all right until January, and then you reassess and see if you need to sign someone and if it's a problem. Obviously, we are playing 1 game a week, so it does ease the burden on the squad. You might be able to get away with it till January. I think over the whole course of the season, it would be a real struggle. And obviously, we do pick up unlucky injuries, which we do tend to do in the positions that we are most vulnerable in. That seems to be how it works for Tottenham.
How many times at the end of the transfer window have we spoken about situations like this, and a week later it comes to pass?
Look, for me, I want to keep Bergvall. I mean, I think if we want to rotate Fernandez, for me, I don't know if Bentancur and Tonali as a pivot works that well. I don't know if they have the kind of ability that maybe Bergvall does have on the ball together. I think Fernandez is going to be a real difference when it comes... him and Tonali is obviously perfect, because Tonali does have that technical ability, but he's not as obviously exciting and forward-thinking as a Fernandez, who obviously will try things, carry the ball, always looking forward, always be positive. Tonali will be kind of the mature guy there, looking to stop counter-attacks, will play the ball forward when it's right, but all in a controlled manner, whereas Fernandez will be a bit different. So Like, for me, if you're rotating Fernandes, Bergvall would be the guy, because you need someone who's going to have that energy, that forward-thinking, that, you know, risk-taking factor. And if you pair Tonali with a Bentancur, like, are we just going to be a bit stale in there? That's what I worry about. Maybe Gray not, but still, Gray also seems to be a bit more of a protector rather than a guy who's always looking forward. But I think he is probably more forward-thinking than a Bentancur. So I think it probably works maybe a bit better with Tonali than Bentancur will. But from that point of view, if Fernandes does pick up an injury and we don't have Bergvall in the squad, that's a bit of a concern for me.
Yeah, exactly. And also you've got the added aspect of Conor Gallagher, who's going to have to be utilised in the 10 a lot in the first part of the season, where he would have been an option a bit deeper, but probably not, because he's going to have to be utilised in the 10. So I just don't think we can sell Bergvall because of these aspects, and particularly what you're saying as well in terms of fit. And the way I see it, Tonali and Bergvall and Bentancur are competing, and Matheus Fernandes and Bergvall will be competing as well, and Gray will be used. I guess, like, it just depends, doesn't it, about Porro and Gray. Like, is Porro literally going to be asked to play every single game? You want two players in every position. That's what De Zerbi said. So judging by what he said there, then we have to keep Bergvall, in my opinion.
I think it's what's obviously Bergvall's own feelings come into it, and he has at the beginning of the summer pushed to leave. That seems to have quietened down a bit. We don't seem like reports like we do with Savinho every day about him leaving, and they're just trying to. It's not like, it doesn't seem like his camp is actively trying to force it, like maybe it seems like with Savinho. With both. Although the story hasn't got away totally, there's still reports of obviously Forest and Newcastle, and there seems to be there's going to be a lot of movement around the Premier League in this last 12 days. So you can't completely rule it out. What I would say about Bergvall is he's obviously had a pretty decent pre-season. He's played quite a lot. Fernandes has been playing in the behind closed doors friendly. He's had these fatigue issues. If I'm Bergvall, if I'm not starting that game against Brentford, I think I'm going back to Zerbi and saying, I've had it. Like, I'm going to push to leave again. I'm going to try and force my way. If Bergvall does start against Brentford, and then obviously has a good game and keeps his place for the time being anyway, until Fernandes is either takes his place or whatever, then at that point, at least he might have the confidence that if he is playing well and he is earning his spot, De Zerbi will play him. But if he's onto a fool's errand, and I think that will be proven if he doesn't start against Brentford, then maybe he'll feel like, look, this is a hiding to nothing. I'm never going to get what I need here, and I might just push to leave and get somewhere started. Obviously, he knows that they haven't bought Fernandes and Tonali not to play. I think he's not stupid. That's why he has asked to leave. But obviously, as a player, you need to feel that if you deserve the spot and you deserve to be playing, you will be playing, regardless of who you signed. And I think Bergvall will be feeling he's had a good pre-season. He's been starting the last few friendlies in the first team, and he played well, so he should start that first game. So I think might know a bit on Saturday.
Look, I don't know about that. I think it's just one game. You know, there's a long season ahead where there's going to be minutes. You know, Matheus Fernandes is not going to play every single game. And, you know, when De Zerbi envisaged this team, he's obviously envisaged it with these two as a starting players. That's why we've signed them both for so much money. So I think Bergvall is the next in line after Matheus Fernandes. And regardless if he starts this game, with this squad, he's still going to see so many minutes throughout the season, whether it be from the bench and starting as well. So I don't think it all just rests on this one game.
It doesn't all rest on it. I think it gives an indication, though, for Bergvall himself, what De Zerbi is feeling. Because if Bergvall doesn't start, then it sends the message to Bergvall, like, it doesn't matter how good you've been or if you've been starting, once Fernandes is fit, you're out. And obviously, if he gets that feeling that whatever he does, he's not going to play, then that's what brought him to ask to leave at the beginning of the summer, because he probably felt like, they're bringing these players in, I ain't going to get my opportunities here, I ain't going to get the minutes that I want. So I feel like that's just my feeling. I feel if he doesn't start, that's the message it sends to him, and that's probably the wrong message he wants. If he does start, I think it sends a message, look, if you're playing well, I'm going to give you game time.
Yeah, but I think it was a different situation there as well, because we had more midfielders on the books. You know, Pape Matar obviously going to be going out the door. Maybe he was thinking he was competing with Conor Gallagher as well. You know, I think it was a different situation, and I think looking at this, just by looking at this, he's going to get so many minutes throughout the season, like so many, and it will help his development. And I think his development will go up this season, even if he's not, a complete starter every single week. So I don't know if Bergval's going to be looking at it like that. I'm sure he's going to trust De Zerbi in how he wants to do things. I really hope he doesn't leave, man.
Yeah, me too. I'm just looking at the situation. The window is still open while this is all going on.
Yeah.
So obviously he's got a decision to make. If he doesn't start on Saturday and he's been starting the whole preseason, he's got a decision. Do I just push to leave because he ain't starting me? So even when I'm playing well, he ain't going to start me. So I've got a decision. Do I go somewhere where I will start every week? Or do I trust that if I'm playing well, I'm going to be starting in this team? And right now, he didn't start me the first game, even though I've been playing in preseason and playing well. So that's my point. It just gives him a decision. If you give him a couple of games before the season, before the window closes, that just probably gives him that trust that he's going to play.
The reality is he needs the offer to come in
Also
to
true.
even contemplate that decision. And obviously it looks as though...
We could force it and try and lower the price down.
He could do, but it looks as though Spurs are not going to be kind of lowballed for Lucas Bergwijn like we were for Jed Spence and like we were for Cuti Romero. It's not that kind of situation. So...
Which is I'm happy about.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes and how it progresses. But I get a feeling that Bergwijn might end up staying.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I really hope so, because I think he's got so much talent. He's still so young. I think he's shown what he's capable of in a short space of time. Coming from the Swedish league, it's not easy. And I think he's adapted really well for a player of his age. And he's got a lot of game time. He's gone through a lot of that development. He's still got so much to work on. I get that. He's nowhere near the finished article. But I would really like him to be part of the squad. And I think under De Zerbi, he can really grow. Because we just saw, he had a few months under Ange and he really grew. And obviously under Frank, he stagnated horribly because of the man. I think I would say mostly because of the manager. And so now we've got a manager who's going to get him to be brave again. And I think we're going to see a better Bergwijn.
Yeah. And it's interesting, actually, looking forward about the aspect that we were speaking about before, how it's one in, one out in terms of the foreign players. What I could envisage next summer is Spurs probably look to move on Rodrigo Bentancur and maybe even potentially bring in an Alex Scott. And if you bring in an Alex Scott, let's say he doesn't go anywhere this summer and you bring in Scott for Bentancur, that opens another space for you for a foreign player to come in, which adds numerically to the squad as well. So I think that would be... fantastic proposition.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, we're talking about in a year's time, a lot can change, but that would be amazing. I mean, I'd love to bring in Alex Scott. Let's hope he doesn't go anywhere between now and the end of the window. It sounds like City are circling for a centre mid. So
but if Bergwijn does go this summer, that's what Spurs should do this summer. Go for Alex Scott this summer.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, that is the kind of makeup of the squad. It is a bit tight in terms of the foreign players, but that is how we envisage what the squad will look like come the 1st or 2nd of September. And just looking at this squad as it is now with the 17 foreign players, 2 players in every position, and quality in every position, quality cover in every position as well.
But it's going to be interesting. I think in a year's time, let's say what we hope happens, and we get Champions League football next season. I think you could see Davis out the door, Danso out the door, Bentancur out the door. Maybe one of those 10s, probably. Maybe even 2 of them, depending on how fit they come back and what the situation is. It could Gallagher or one of Gallagher, Maddison or Decky, could they be leaving? So there could be a lot of movement next summer to upgrade.
Yeah, absolutely. So exciting times ahead, people. Let us know your thoughts of... Because this is most likely how the squad is going to look like at the end of the transfer window. So let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Let's go and take a look at social media.
By the way, just a quick one. Paulinho, here we go to Benfica. So no, not coming back to haunt us for Villa or Newcastle.
So he rejected Newcastle. Villa.
I don't know if you... Yeah, it sounds like it. Let me connect to the computer. Yeah, I don't know if he rejected him. He's gone for 19 million euros total package.
Oh, so it's not even a loan, it's just a straight out.
Yeah, they signed him 14 million fee.
It's interesting because that Paulinho, those were the first links that we heard in the summer, wasn't it?
What, that
is he going to go to
resign?
Benfica or is he going to come to Spurs?
Yeah. No, it was Sporting.
Oh, it was Sporting, was it? Connecting.
Yeah. Let's hope this works. Do you see it? Oh, come on. It just says knockout. Yeah?
Right, we're going to take a look at social media, see what people are I don't even know what we're going to have a look at now, so you tell me.
It's just a lot of reaction to the double deal, the break of the news yesterday. A lot of rival fans have been chiming in, having their say. So
it should be fun.
Mute it. Has it got sound?
I'm asking. Do you need sound? Like, do you want to? Is anything?
I don't think we need sound.
All right, let's go take a look at social media. What have people been saying, people?
Well, first of all, there is a theory. We talked about this flight apparently today. Apparently, there is a private jet coming in from Manchester Airport on Flight Tracker, arriving at 1:12 at London City Airport today.
Who is on that plane, people?
Is there anyone have any theories about what is going on? Why is there a private jet on the day that Tottenham are in advanced talks with Marmoush and Savinho? Is it too much of a coincidence that on Flight Tracker there is a private jet? And apparently as well, we want to get this deal over the line before the deadline, before tomorrow.
They're just waiting for this deal to get over the line.
Is there something to this? Is there something to this? Is there something going on with this flight? That is what is being reported. Could be anyone, someone says. It could be, but it could also be certain players from Manchester City. Let's see if there's any truth to it. Umir was having a bit of a conversation with Kish, I saw, but he thinks...
Umir?
He's just a City fan. He says, he's talking about Gakpo, Kudus, Savinho, Marmoush. He says, do you think all four could play together in a way that works to all their strengths? You've got the left foot of Kudus for first-time passes into the winger. You've got into left-back out wide. You've got right foot of Marmoush to do the same on the other side. Centre-backs will be looking to find them dropping between the lines in this way. Marmoush, the vertical attacker. Kudus capable of dropping off or deep. Gakpo able to run inside to finish off moves. Savinho capable of pushing the defensive line back quickly before cutting back to Marmoush. For me, this is the logic of those players in a De Zerbi setup, and then you obviously have the rotations between the players. Anyway, this is what he thinks our team could look like. This is what he predicts the idea of De Zerbi is.
I mean, we spoke about
Gakpo on the left,
we
Savinho on the right.
This a few days ago, didn't we?
Yeah. Kudus and Marmoush a bit central with obviously Tonali and Fernandes. I mean, do you think that could be what he's thinking, De Zerbi?
I think we'll definitely see certain games where we're lined up like that. I mean, this is exactly what we've been theorising over the past couple of weeks. I mean, obviously, we didn't have Marmoush in there. We had a Richarlison or a Solanke. But with Marmoush, it just makes it even better. Like, you know, Savinho on the right, Gakpo on the left, Kudus in the 10. I think it could be a very frightening prospect.
Who'd be on the bench at this point? You got Tel, Solanke,
Madders.
Yeah. Anyone else? Decky maybe, but obviously he ain't. Yeah, doesn't leave as much on the bench, but obviously he's got to play the US players.
Still leaves decent amount of players on the bench. It leaves enough on the bench.
Yeah. Someone says it was fake, the plane. Was it? Anyway. Yeah, I think this could be a very interesting prospect, because I think you've got Gakpo operating, making those late runs on the left. You've got Savinho causing havoc on the right. You've got Kudus making space for Marmoush in the centre, who just needs a yard of space, and then bam, he can kill a shot. So I think this is something we might see early in the season while Madders and whoever gets up to speed. All right. So a United fan says, he commented on this, says Spurs are speed running an absolute disaster with these signings.
Speaking from experience.
Exactly. This is someone who's been there and done it. Umis, though, a City fan, he commented, says, I don't think I agree. They've got one of the best coaches in the world. They've got a clear game model with a great pass and great build-up solutions. They're targeting players that can platform correctly, getting Marmoush closer to goal, attacking spaces quickly, getting Savinho one-on-one. They spent big and not the most efficient, but they're signing known products, raises the level, compete, be attractive, then you can make undervalued buys. That's kind of how I feel about it, like that last bit. Like, yes, we're spending big, and are we overpaying? Is it the most efficient way to spend the money? Probably not. But I think given what we've been through, we just need players that we know what they're going to provide. And then once we get to a certain level and once we get attractive to a lot more players, then you can maybe start being a bit more picky.
Yeah, and I think, look, we finished 17th twice. You had to overpay to get the targets that we want through the door this summer on wages as well. Like, you can't just go from 17th and not overpay. It's just not going to happen. I know Man United did it a bit of a different way. They finished obviously very low down, but they hit release clauses for Mbeumo and Cunha and players like that. But with the way we're doing things, I think we've got the best available players that we can get. I don't think there's much room for improvement on the market. Like, who else could we have got that's actually better? There's no one out there.
Because once you get to the level above the players we're looking at, all of a sudden you're looking at the top talent who are already at big clubs, or the big clubs are going to try and get them for themselves if they're not at like the top six. So right now, as exciting as the project is, it doesn't attract that tier of player just yet. But if we are in the Champions League and we're looking like, wow, if we just get this next step, we could actually challenge for a league, then I think that's where the next step of player can come in.
Yeah.
This is... I'm going to scroll past that. So Stephen McInnery, Man City fan as well, commenting on the deal, on the fact that it's going to cost around 150 million. He says, this is a fair price, by the way, in 2026. Market is what it is. They would not be signing Savinho if they didn't feel he would be a starting winger capable of getting them back to near European football. And they would not be after Marmoush if they didn't feel he could bag 20 goals. That is 150 million these days.
And I think Marmoush can bag between 15 and 20 goals, potentially more this season for us, particularly in the system that we're going to play him in. Like I said yesterday, I feel like 150. If it's 150 million pounds, I think it is a bit of an overpayment. 150 million euros, I think, is probably about spot on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could go to a different player like Mikitadze, but apparently Mikitadze is going to cost around 70 million as well, according to Paul O'Keefe. So then, what kind of player are you looking at? Krupi was going to cost 90 million. Apparently, he was on our list. So if we're looking at prices,
I reckon we still go for Krupi next summer.
Yeah, potentially, but he's not going to be cheaper, is he, than what we're paying right now? And you could argue that Marmoush is in that ballpark when it comes to quality of player. Hopefully, obviously, he hasn't had the best time.
Krupi's outscored Marmoush. Krupi got more goals last season than Marmoush has ever got in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's fine. That's true. But then Richarlison got more goal contributions than Krupi last season. So, Fuad, big up to Fuad. He says, Marmoush is a better option than Gakpo, but De Zerbi is going to have to get deep in his coaching bag to get the best out of these two players whose confidence has been shattered for over the last 18 months. Both got upside, but a lot of work needs to be done.
De Zerbi's one of the best in the game in confidence raising. One of the best in the game. I have no doubt that he can get these players back to their best.
If he can increase the confidence of those players last season, even for that 7-game period, where I don't think you get much lower. I think it was on the floor. I think that was probably the lowest confidence you've ever seen of a team in the Premier League, honestly, last season. And if he can get that team to, pull results together and play like they did last season, there is no, there's no one he can't pick up if he can pick up the team that was on the floor last season. Red Devil Girl, Man United fan, says, I can't believe I was hoping West Ham got relegated over Spurs just so we could get Fernandes cheaper and easier. And here we are now. Tottenham survived, West Ham went down, but Spurs not only pinched Fernandes, but also signed Sandro Tonali, Van Hecke, Senesi, Gakpo, Savinho, Marmoush. If there was ever an example of be careful what you wish for, this is it.
we got Man United fans running scared and rattled. That's what we love to see. I mean,
you should have killed us when you had the chance.
It is mad, isn't it? Like, we literally were 90 minutes away from getting relegated.
I know, and here we are.
Then bang, Mateus Fernandes, bang, Sandro Tonali, bang, Jan-Paul Van Hecke, bang, Savinho, bang, Marmoush, and potentially a bang Cody Gakpo as well. It's mad. Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, people can say we're overpaying or whatever. Look, these players aren't as good as, would hope and all this kind of stuff. But if I told you this was going to be our summer at the beginning of the window, you'd be like, you're nuts. There is no chance this all happens. If
the summer ends like we think it's going to end with these three players, this might be the best summer window in our existence, man.
Oh, it will be, for sure. Jamie Kent says this must push them to the near £500 million mark. You would think Marmoush is on 300k a week too. So either a huge deal or pay cut for a season, and hope they get Europe next season. Could be a very worrying summer if they get no European football. If it doesn't work, do you think we're in big trouble?
Depends.
I mean, to be fair, even with these signings, let's say it's 200 million for all three.
Mate, just call Beyonce a couple more times. We'll be all right.
But if it is 200 million, let's say, for all three, which is what's reported around that figure, then our net spend is still 250 million or whatever, 260 million, which is obviously a high, but it's not crazy. It's not like outlandish.
I don't think we're in trouble. I think we're in trouble if we get relegated. I don't think we're in trouble if we don't get European football. But I think after this transfer window, I do think the expectation has got to be Champions League football this season. If we get these three players over the line.
Yeah, if we get these three players, I think the expectation has to be we're in that conversation 100%. Obviously, I still think that as we went through before, the teams above us or the teams you're challenging with.
No, the front lines.
The front lines still are stronger than ours. They all still. I think their teams probably have a bit more experience potentially, although maybe not, considering we did sign Tonali and Robertson.
I think we've got a defence comparable to probably everyone apart from Arsenal, in my opinion, to the top six, and I think we've got a midfield. Other teams do have better midfielders than us in certain positions, but as a collective, I think we're up there. So, not against Arsenal. I'm not comparing it to Arsenal, but definitely against the other teams. Arsenal are the best squad and the best team, I think, by far, when you're looking at personnel. But the other teams, I do think, like personnel-wise, we can compete.
Well, let's put it to the test, because this Chelsea fan has commented, and this is kind of like the battle of the non-Europe top six teams. He says, I'm not even joking. Rodgers is better than Gakpo. This is he commenting on a picture of our potential best choice 11, right, for next season, which is pretty much what we have been saying. Which is Kudus in the 10 though, but Savinho, Gakpo, Marmoush.
Okay.
This is our best 11. So he says, I'm not even joking. Rodgers over Gakpo.
I agree.
João Pedro over Marmoush. Esteval over Savinho. Palmer over Kudus. Enzo over Tonali. Caicedo over Fernandes. Palestra over Udogie. Colwell over Van der Ven. Lacroix over Van Hecke. Reece James over Porro and Sanchez over Kinski. Not saying Spurs are bad by any means, but this is their best starting 11.
I think Sanchez is not better than Kinski, in my opinion. I think Kinski's better than Sanchez. I agree with him with Reece James and Porro.
You think James is better than Porro?
Yeah, I think so.
I reckon they're even.
I think Reece James is better when you take all aspects of a player involved. I do.
What aspects is he better at?
I think he's a better defender for sure, and I think he can contribute to the attack and also can play in the midfield, which he's
Yeah, but we're talking about him at right back. Is he a better right back than Porro?
I think Porro is better than him in terms of output and in terms of going forward.
And he plays every game.
Yeah, that's a big thing actually. From availability, Porro is much better than.
If you're signing
Reece
one of them,
James.
you probably sign Porro.
Yeah, you probably would actually because of the availability alone. You probably would. But yeah, I mean that is a big aspect which I actually wasn't doing when I'm comparing the players. Like the availability is actually probably the most key part here.
Yeah.
But I'm just talking about them as a player alone. I rate Reece James very highly. I rate Porro very highly as well.
Well, I would say in that case it's probably even. If you think Reece James is a bit better than him, like as a player, but Porro's got the availability and plays every game, you probably put them even.
Yeah, I think Van Hecke's better than Lacroix.
I agree with that. I know Lacroix's good. I like Lacroix. I think Van Hecke's much better him on the ball. I think Lacroix is a bit better. Like he's a bit more. I know they're both really physical, but I think Lacroix's probably got better recovery pace. But Lacroix, I was about to say he's more used to playing in the back three, but he probably will be playing in the back three with Chelsea. I just don't know how he's going to be in a bigger team. We saw him make some appearances for France in the World Cup, and he wasn't very good when you had to replace Saliba. I know it was only a small sample size, but he wasn't great.
It's a massive drop off from the Saliba to Lacroix, so it made sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how good.
I just think he's a bit dodgy on the ball, Lacroix, as well.
Van de Ven or Colwell.
But I think
go on.
that right there shows you this tweet is just about rage baiting because this is absolute bollocks. Like Colwell over Van de Ven is there's no even point even addressing that. Like that is just absolute rubbish. And obviously Palestra, a doggy, they're complete. Isn't Palestra a right back?
I think he can play both. Sammy Palestra.
Yeah, he can play right back.
No, but can he play left back?
Yeah.
Yeah, he can play left
He
back.
can play both.
I don't know if he's better. I mean, from what I've only seen one game of him, and he got cooked by Tell. That's all I've seen of him. But apparently, some people think he is quite good. I don't know. Obviously, the doggy's really unavailable. Obviously, we're saying Robertson potentially.
Same if you saw Porro in his first game for Spurs.
Huh? True. I don't know how good this Palestra guy is, to be honest. He's class.
From what I've seen from him, he looks really good going forward.
Is he better than Robertson? Let's say if Robertson's going to start. You know, anyway, I don't know about Palestra. Caicedo, Fernandez.
Yes, easy.
Enzo Tonali.
And they might go.
I don't think it's clear cut that Enzo Fernandez is that much ahead of Sandro Tonali. I think they're both on a similar level in terms of quality.
You'd probably flip them though, wouldn't it? It should be Caicedo against Tonali and Enzo against Fernandez.
Well, if it's Caicedo, if it's that way, then they both probably get in. Chelsea players.
He's probably been kinder to us. Yeah, they're probably better. Palmer over Kudus, yeah. Esteval over Savinho. I think that's pretty even, but Esteval had a better season last year. I do like Esteval, I have to say. He was very good. But I actually think that's pretty even.
João Pedro over Marmoush. You'd probably say yes.
Yeah, right now. But you never know. You give Marmoush a full season. I think they could be on a similar level, honestly. But João Pedro plays every game, but Marmoush has been out of the team.
Yeah.
So I think it's just hard to judge. And obviously Rodgers over Gakpo, you say, yeah, you probably.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not that ridiculous though. What he's saying. Well, the only one who's got real contention is Colwell and Van de Ven, and Van Hecke, Lacroix maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them it is true. So. I mean, when you look at that, it's like we're still lagging behind a bit, even with all the spending.
I mean, they've got, a lot of players that will get into a combined 11, but we know football isn't played on paper.
No, it's also true.
Football plays on the pitch.
They do have Alonso as well.
Yeah.
George Achillia, big up Tim, says, getting Marmoush would also make the Gakpo signing better for me personally. He's much better on the left than he is in the 9 in the Premier League, so let Marmoush be a 9-10 hybrid, Tel plus Gakpo on the left, Savinho too, and then you got Savinho Kudus for the right. The depth looks better that way.
I know. And everyone was watering at the mouth, thinking of the prospect of Savinho and Kudus out on the flanks.
Yeah.
But maybe we won't see that too often if Gakpo's around.
True. I think there'll be definitely games where you want that. There'll also definitely be games where I think you want Gakpo and Marmoush just raining down shots. And I think there'll be games where you're playing against a very organised defence who are very tight and organised, and you're not getting any joy from opening them up. And then you just try and get Gakpo and Marmoush some space on the edge of the box and just try and get them raining shots in and break the deadlock that way. And then you're going to have games where you're able to isolate the fullbacks on either side and you just get Savinho and Kudus out there just causing havoc.
Can't wait.
Alexis Kavkas says, De Zerbi is acting like a man who just won the lottery. No plan, no restraint, just spending money because he can. 85 million for Savinho is nuts. Marmoush is a good player. They should only be signing him.
I actually, well, he is acting like a madman. Let's not get
He
it
is a
twisted.
madman, though.
Let's not get it twisted. He is, and he is acting like someone who's just won the lottery, and spending, overspending on certain players or whatever. That is true, but I disagree about not having a plan. I think this is meticulously planned from Tottenham Hotspur, and I think the right profiles are coming in, the right positions are coming in, and I actually think this is the most thought about and most planned transfer window that we've ever had, because each and every profile are so specific to what De Zerbi wants in his team. So I think anyone to say that Spurs are just going into this window, just picking up any old player and just overspending on them, I think is absolute rubbish, because I think it is so planned, this window, everything about it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he's thought about everything, what exactly he wants, what kind of player he wants. And I think he's done it to a T. This is nothing to do with like craziness. I think maybe at this point, when it's late in the window, there is a bit of like, okay, we just need to get these players over the line. Maybe we have to compromise on certain things. But I think definitely when it comes to Tonali, Fernandes and all the defenders, it was meticulous. He wanted players who can do specific things, and that's what he's done. And I think with Savinho as well, actually, to be fair. Luke says, I'm 43 years old. If we finish this window signing Marmoush, Savinho, Tonali, Fernandes, Van Hecke, Robertson and Senesi, then that is, without a shadow of a doubt, the best transfer window Spurs have had in my life. 0 complaints from me. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I was discussing this with Sammy before, what I would give it out of 10. I actually said 9 out of 10. And the only reason is because I'm very demanding and nitpicking.
He's got high standards.
The only reason I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10 is because we've only got one right back in the squad. That's it. So 9 out of 10 is the best I've ever given before in the transfer market. So I'm obviously delighted, but that's just the one thing that I think we've missed from this transfer window. But I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about it whatsoever. I'm delighted with this summer transfer window, and it's the best in my lifetime, 100%.
Yeah, I think pretty much signing a whole new team, yeah, and the level of signing as well. I don't think anyone can really complain about it. I know there's going to be some people will give out their certain opinions about it could have been better, or maybe we've overpaid and we're acting really irresponsibly, all this kind of stuff. But I think when you look at the squad that we've built, I think going from 17th to that squad, I don't think anyone could really have asked for much more.
And judging by the
Stell will complain 100%.
100%. You're talking about the foreign numbers as well. We couldn't probably even fit in a right back anyway.
True.
Unless we brought in an English or an under 21.
Where is Stell? We need to get Stell on. We need his reaction. The Spurs Day says Villa fans watching Spurs splash 150 million on Savinho and Marmoush while they sold everybody and signed Garnacho.
I'll tell you what, Villa and Newcastle have been cooked this summer. They have been so cooked. It's unbelievable
I love this video.
to see. What the hell is Gabby Abonglahor saying now?
Exactly. But I don't like. I've seen a lot of Villa fans. This is so funny, just a combination of all these crying footballers. I've seen a lot of Villa fans complaining, saying the Premier League have built a model that doesn't reward you for finishing top 4, but does reward you for getting Beyonce concerts. Which I understand that frustration. But I think, again, as I've said many times, if Villa fans are angry, which I don't think they don't have a right to be frustrated with the situation. They've had a brilliant last 3 years, and they're ending up selling all their best players in the summer because of financial reasons. So I understand that frustration, but it shouldn't be Tottenham that they're frustrated at. We should be the last team that they should be angry at, because we have done this in a self-sustaining way. We've also done this by being very frugal over the last however long, selling our best players, and we've had to sell our best players as well over the years, building the infrastructure so that we have the revenue to compete. Who they should be angry at is the likes of City and Chelsea, who have just muscled their way in there through having very, very rich owners, and then they pretty much sprung the ladder up behind them with these PSR rules, so no one else can kind of enter the fray with all this revenue. So I understand that frustration there, because Villa got a rich owner and tried to do the same, but now they can't because of all these rules. But Tottenham, we've done things the right way. Like, there's nothing. And also, we've also been in Europe 18 of the past 20 seasons. It's not like we're in this top 6 conversation, whatever you want to call it, because for no reason. People act like we're just here because we're rich. It's not that as well. On the pitch, we've outperformed most of the teams apart from the other top 6 teams for the last 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people have very short memories, don't they? And I think, they look at our relegation strap last season, but first of all, we were in the Champions League last season. And second of all, 2 years ago, we won the Europa League, even in, 2 of our seasons where we finished 17th. So we are a big club. We're bigger in terms of financial muscle, fan base, and everything like that to Aston Villa and Newcastle. And we deserve to be where we are. We're in the classic top 6 for a reason, because we've done things in the right way, like you said.
Walter Ude says, he's a United fan, he says, are Tottenham trying to scare Man United with all this spending? Mateus Fernandes, Tadali, now Savinho, Marmoush. Let them spend. I'm still backing Carrick. United don't need to copy Tottenham's transfer strategy or panic because Spurs are throwing money around. Give Carrick the final pieces he needs, build the squad properly, and let the people do the talking. I still believe Carrick can bring trophies back to Old Trafford. Spurs can have the headlines. I want the silverware.
Well, we're going to have the headlines and the silverware. So watch out, Man United.
Apparently, we're spending all this money just to try and scare Man United. Apparently, it's all about them.
Carrick's going to be gone by December anyway. Gone by Christmas.
So apparently our spending's all about Man United.
Yeah.
You didn't know that.
We only do things with Man United.
God. Main character syndrome, I think they've got. Anyway, that's it. That's all the reactions that I've got.
There has been an update from Sasha Tavaleri on Pape Matar saying Galatasaray have submitted an 18 million euro bid for Sarr, with Tottenham rejecting the first offer. Talks ongoing with Spurs. We're demanding at least 25 million euros.
Yeah, which is around the price I thought we would be asking for.
Yeah.
So what did you say? 18 million bid rejected. So sounds like they're not that far away.
Not far away, yeah. I think this deal happens.
Probably up it to 20, add some add-ons. Bob's your uncle.
20% sell on.
20% sell on.
Get the matching rights in
matching,
there. Why not?
throw in a matching rights, and then you're done.
And Bob's your uncle.
Exactly.
But look, that is.
And but just quickly on that, I think Selon could be quite significant in this, because if he really goes on to become something at Galatasaray and gets a big move back to Europe, if he fulfills that potential, he could potentially, double that fee.
Could be. He's only 23 years of age.
Yeah,
so.
and he's a good player, I think. And I think, look, Galatasaray is not exactly maybe the place you want to develop, but, if he goes and does really well, shows in the Champions League what he can do, and then a big club comes calling, or a Premier League comes calling eventually, there could be a potential 50 million fee there at some point.
So people in the chat, I'm not sure where he said it, must be on YouTube, says Fabrizio has said keep an eye in the coming hours for Savinho to Tottenham. So maybe we are getting a here we go very, very soon. Hopefully it's not 5 minutes after I leave the studio. So
we will. Don't worry,
like
we will be
yesterday.
keeping an eye. We will be keeping an eye.
So we'll be back live as soon as anything drops, obviously. But thank you for joining us today. We'll see you all very, very soon. And also keep an eye out for On The Ball today, because it is our first episode of Predict the Prem. So that's going to be dropping at some point today as well. So yeah, big up to all of you. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.